Hey everyone, so welcome back. Today we're going to tackle a classic genetics problem involving guinea pigs. We'll break it down step by step, so let's dive into the world of monohybrid crosses and learn how to solve this problem together. Here's the problem. In guinea pigs, black fur, or represented by uppercase B, is dominant over white fur, or lowercase b. A heterozygous black guinea pig is crossed with a white guinea pig. So we need to figure out the possible genotypes and phenotypes of their offspring as well as the phenotypic ratio. So let's go through this one step at a time. First, let's set up our cross. The black fur trait is dominant, so a black guinea pig can either be homozygous or represented by two uppercase B's or heterozygous, which is represented by one uppercase and one lowercase b. On the other hand, the white fur trait is recessive. So a white guinea pig must be a homozygous recessive or represented by two lowercase b. However, the problem tells us we have a heterozygous black guinea pig or one uppercase and one lowercase b crossed with a white guinea pig with a homozygous recessive b or lowercase b's. Now, let's think about the gametes each parent will produce. So the heterozygous black guinea pig can produce two types of gametes, such as the one uppercase b predominant black fur and one lowercase b for recessive white fur. While the white guinea pig or the homozygous recessive can only produce the B gamete. Next, we create the Punnett square to determine the possible genotypes of the offspring. So we'll put the gametes of the first parent or the heterozygous B along the side and the gametes of the second parent across the top. So based on our test cross, we will have the two heterozygous dominant B and two homozygous recessive. Now let's translate these genotypes into phenotypes. So the heterozygous will show the dominant black fur trait because the black allele or the uppercase B is dominant, while the homozygous recessive will show the white fur trait because both alleles are recessive. So we have two black fur guinea pigs and two white fur guinea pigs. Now we can determine the phenotypic ratio. So we do have two black fur is to two white fur, which actually give us 2 is to 2 of black to white fur offspring. So to recap, the possible genotypes are two heterozygous B and two homozygous recessive B. While for the phenotypic ratio is 2 black fur is to 2 white fur. So here's our second problem. In pea plants, tall height or uppercase T is dominant over short height or lowercase t. A farmer crosses a true breeding tall plant with a short plant. We will answer three questions. First, what will the genotypes and phenotypes of the F1 generation be? Second, if two F1 plants are crossed, what's the phenotypic ratio in the F2 generation? And last, what percentage of the F2 plants are heterozygous? So, are you ready? Let's go. The P generation is crossed between the true breeding tall plant, represented by two uppercase T, and a short plant, which is represented by two lowercase t. So the tall plant produces only the uppercase T gametes, while the short plant produces only lowercase t gametes. When we combine this, all F1 or the first filial generation offspring will have the heterozygous genotype or one uppercase T and one lowercase. Since the uppercase T is dominant, all of the F1 plants will be tall. So, the F1 generation has, for the genotype, it's going to be 100% heterozygous, all heterozygous T, while for the phenotype, it's going to be all tall plants or 100% tall plants. Now, let's cross two F1 plants, which are actually two heterozygous tall plants, to get the F2 generation. So, for the gametes, each F1 plant produces two types of gametes, such as the uppercase T and the lowercase t. Now, for the Punnett square, based on the test cross, we would have the offspring such as one uh, homozygous tall, or represented by two letter T, uppercase, and then two heterozygous tall, which is one uppercase and one lowercase t, and then one homozygous short, or the homozygous recessive, which is actually represented by two lowercase t. So for the phenotypic result, we will have three tall plants because we're going to combine the one dominant, homozygous dominant, and two heterozygous dominant. Since the three of them actually have the uppercase T, which is the dominant traits for tall. And then we will have one short plant, which is the homozygous recessive. So the phenotypic ratio in the F2 generation is 3 tall is to 1 short. Now let's figure out how many F2 plants are heterozygous. From the Punnett square, 2 out of 4 plants are heterozygous. That's 50% heterozygous in the F2 generation. And to summarize, the F1 generation is 100% heterozygous for tall plants, and the F2 phenotypic ratio is 3 tall is to 1 short, which is actually 50% of the F2 plants are heterozygous. And now for our problem number 3, which is about the seed coat. So we do have the parental generation, which is black seeds, represented by the uppercase G, which is the dominant, and cross to a white seed, which is represented by the lowercase g. So we will try to find out about the F1 generation, genotype, and the phenotype, and also the F2 generation. Let's say if we're going to cross the heterozygous, or I mean both heterozygous self-cross, what would be the possible genotypes and the phenotypes? So, are you guys ready? Okay, first we have the parents, such as the black cross to white. So, we do have the alleles such as the 2 uppercase G for homozygous dominant. And then we do have the 2 homozygous recessive, which is represented by the lowercase g. Now, we do have the gametes which are actually produced. We have 2 uppercase G for the black, and then 2 lowercase g for the white. So if we're going to cross it using the Punnett square for the F1 generation, so you can see that we actually have 4 heterozygous dominant. That is because whenever you try to cross both dominant and recessive, which are actually both homozygous, there is no chance that you will have a recessive offspring. Instead, you will have all the offspring as heterozygous, same as what we have on this example. So for the F1 generation or the F1 genotype, we will have all heterozygous, which is represented by uppercase G and lowercase g. And then for the phenotype, since we have the uppercase G, which is dominant, so the F1 phenotype will be all black seeds. Now, if we will have the self cross, the F1 offspring, we will cross the heterozygous with another heterozygous. So we will be able to get the F2 generation or the second filial generation, such as one homozygous dominant and then two heterozygous dominant and one homozygous recessive, which are actually the F2 genotype. Now, for the phenotype, we will have three black seeds and one white seed, or though it is actually not being asked about the phenotypic ratio, but we could have three black seed is to one white seed. Okay, and there you have it. That's all the problem pertaining to our monohybrid, and I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or want to see more example like this, don't forget to leave a comment down below and make sure to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe for more content like this. Okay, and for our next activity, we're going to check about your knowledge to monohybrid test cross and concept. So try to ace the following questions. So first question, suppose there are two alleles that control hairline shape in humans, one for a straight hairline and one for a widow's peak. People who have the widow's peak allele always have a widow's peak, even if they also carry the allele for a straight hairline. Is the widow's peak allele dominant or recessive? And to answer that question, the widow's peak allele is dominant because people who carry both alleles would only express the widow's peak allele. This means that the widow's peak allele is able to mask the presence of the straight hair allele. Question number two. In humans, the allele for three earlobes is dominant, while the allele for attached earlobes is recessive. Write an appropriate letter representation for both of these alleles. The dominant free earlobe allele should be written with a capital letter such as the uppercase E. The recessive attached earlobe allele should be written with the lowercase form of the same letter such as the baby E. Suppose that in mice, gray fur is dominant to white fur. A mouse breeder is going to mate a white-furred female mouse with a heterozygous gray-furred male mouse. What are the genotypes of each mouse? The female mouse has an lowercase f or homozygous recessive genotype, while the male mouse has an heterozygous f or one uppercase, one lowercase genotype. But no, any letters work for the genotype as long as the capitalization is correct. Now, for question number four. Suppose the same breeder from question 3 has two other female mice. The genotype of the first female is homozygous dominant or 2 uppercase F, and the genotype of the second is heterozygous dominant or 1 uppercase and 1 lowercase F. What are their phenotypes for fur color? Answer. Both mice will have the gray fur phenotype because they each have at least one gray fur allele, which is the dominant allele. Now, for question number 5. Suppose that in humans, curly hair is dominant to straight hair. What are the odds that a man and a woman who both have curly hair or heterozygous dominant will produce a child with straight hair? Now, with the use of the Punnett square, so there is a 25% chance that this couple will have a child with a straight hair or one homozygous recessive trait. Now, for our question number 6, suppose that in humans, blue eyes are recessive and brown eyes are dominant. If a blue eyed woman were to marry a homozygous brown eyed man, what would be the phenotypic ratio of their offspring? Now, again, with the use of the Punnett square, by the way, Punnett square was actually invented by the poultry geneticist Reginald Punnett way back in 1900s. So, the phenotypic ratio of the offspring is 1 is to 0 brown-eyed to blue-eyed children. And for our final question, question number 7. In fruit flies, straight wings are dominant to wrinkled wings. A pair of fruit flies mate to produce offsprings, and about 50% of them have wrinkled wings, whereas the rest have straight wings. What are the phenotypes of this parental breeding pair? And to answer that question, one individual of the breeding pair has wrinkled wings and the other individual has straight wings. And of course, that is based on the result of the test cross using the Punnett square. And there you have it, guys. Monohybrid crosses are easy once you break them down. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more fun genetics lessons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.
Ruler, Pharaoh.